funny. Like the cat's head is right in the corner. All right, let's see. Starting. Stream health looks good. So that's nice. And once I get that situated, I can give you something for sharing. Let's see how this looks here. All right, we're live.
The North remembers.
Okay, we'll save that. That's saved. Now I need that title. Behind the Iron Throne. Episode 196. Holy cats. And what's the title of this? It's hashtag...
It's hashtag for the throne.
all for the throne or for the throne?
For the throne. It's all hashtag for the throne, typically. I mean, technically.
I'll do the. I'll make it match. I'll do all. For. And it's all one word, right?
Yeah, all hashtag for
Works.
capital F, capital T,
Okay,
capital T.
That way it all kind of works in the hashtag. All right, that should be saved. Now I'm going to give you a link. Where is this sharing link? It's all still very new. Oh, here we are. All right, now there's the link right there. And I'm going to drop it into... I'm going to drop it like it's hot. I just got to find Facebook. There it is. Okay. Refresh this page.
Add brackets.
All right, so I need to give it to you here in... Nope. Chit chat. All right, this is the link in the chit chat. And that means everyone will now see that. Oh, man.
Chat. I'm going to... Hi, that's me.
That's you.
I'm going to grab this link so that I have it now. The screen is so much better, dude. It's crazy.
Oh, yeah. And, you know, once we get some of our lighting issues situated, especially for John.
Oh, little John.
Yeah, it'll look a lot better. I got to get some more soundproofing over in that corner. And you can see my cat, one of my cat's heads next to the monitor. But I just got to reposition the camera now and all this stuff because we have much better video capabilities. So I could probably just go like that. Kind of tighten that up a little bit. That's a little bit better. Once I get some of that other bit covered, it'll be all right.
Okay. That one's posting. There we go. Share this on BTIP. Share in page. There we go. Share on my timeline. Share on John's timeline.
Yeah, it definitely looks a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have to get another pack.
I wish I could share in multiple friends' timeline at once. That would be fun.
Wouldn't that be awesome?
That would be so awesome. It would save my life so much trouble.
Yeah, there was a couple people that complained. Well, I'll wait for that till we start talking about it. I don't want to spoil it all yet.
Way to go, Mark Zuckerberg. Give us all the stuff we don't need and don't give us a
Yeah.
multiple shared button.
Well, he is a criminal. I mean, maybe not. That's probably not the fair thing to say. That's totally speculation.
Well, he's robbing us proper video quality, that's for sure.
Yeah. I'm not expecting too many live viewers until they get used to this. It's going to be a transition, but in the long run, now we'll have more content on the YouTube channel. We'll have a show live. We have the podcast, so it should work out for everybody. I just have to tell people that, it's growing pains. We got to figure out.
Well, I mean, it'll be okay as long as we can share the live feed on Facebook when we're, on YouTube. Then people will be able to,
Yeah, and it'll get better. I mean, part of the trick right now is I'd like to be able to have it set up so that when we hit go, it's boom right into the show rather than, sharing while we're trying to get started or trying to put the show notes in while we're starting. You almost have to have the show description written before so you have some meat to the, to entice, But these are just things we'll learn as we go.
Okay. Well, I mean, yeah, this was a revelation to me doing it here today, which I'm okay with. Absolutely.
Well, yeah, I literally just tested this. When did I test this? Last weekend, I think it was. So this is new to everybody.
Well, I'll make sure I'll get a better detailed show description. But I mean, for the most part, like having all the links and stuff like that you have in here is something that you're just gonna have to walk me through really quick just to make sure. As long as we have a template, though, it should be okay.
We do, and I can copy I can send you a copy of the template, so that I can actually send it to you. So that if you have to fix it before we go live, you can fix it. I can copy and paste it. It's a shared note, and because we both use iOS, it's a shared iOS note. So I use that instead of Google Drive for that, only because I don't want other people messing with it. So that could work out okay. All right, so let me do an audio check. You sound pretty good. Just give me a check, please.
Mic check, mic check.
All right, that sounds good. I'm going to play a little clip.
When you play the game.
Is that too loud? Is that okay?
It's a little loud in my ears, but I have my earphones all the way up too. So
when you play the Game of Thrones, you win.
Oh, it's good.
Yeah, that is a little bit loud. I'm going to lower that for the time being. I can adjust it later.
When you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die.
Because that's pretty powerful the way I have it set up in terms of the actual volume. The real volume, not the perceived volume.
This podcast contains explicit language and spoilers.
Now, if I had a whole production team, this could all happen without me touching anything, and then we can just go right into the show.
I'll get right on that, sir.
Rather than, all this other stuff, but that's what it is.
Am I the one person watching right now? That's interesting.
I think so. I'll be able to look once we get going. I can actually look and see. But it's shared everywhere, so is it shared on my timeline too?
Oh, you know what? I think I may have, but let me just double check that because I may not have. Share. If it's double shared, we'll just cancel it later.
Yeah. Now, the Facebook group pages are starting to get kind of crappy. Nobody sees it on Facebook pages anymore, so groups
No,
are
I know.
the way
They've
to
been
go.
they've been really nasty lately.
Thanks, Facebook.
And honestly, I really just feel like it has a lot to do with the wait for everything. A lot of people just, their heart's not in it right now.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So I'm ready if you are.
I am ready.
Episode 196. Okay, here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Well, hello. Welcome back, Thronies. This is episode 196, and I'm your host, Chris Gray. And I know everybody missed me. I'm here to host my own podcast for a change. Yay! But more importantly, I have the mistress of whispers here with me live on our YouTube channel, BehindTheIronThrone.tv. That's right, we're switching from Facebook. More on that in a minute. But let's introduce Andrea, the Mistress of Whispers. Welcome to the show.
Hi, guys. Welcome back, Chris. It's really nice to have you. And this is really exciting. YouTube, right? For the very first time, the screen looks really nice.
Much better. 100 times better.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to this new experience. It's going to be a new year, a last season, new YouTube outlook. This is going to be exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited. And Trish and I were setting this up the other day. We're really kind of fed up with how Facebook quality was with YouTube, or in terms of how it compresses the video, the audio sounds crappy, and it just looks like garbage. And with doing it on YouTube Live, we have a little bit more control over some things, and the video should look better, the audio should be a little bit better, and hopefully the interaction will be easier because I can actually go into the live dashboard and see the comments a little bit more easier than before.
Right,
so,
real time.
So that should be a lot better. A couple of things we're still working out the bugs on, but we'll figure it out. This is still very new. So if you have been waiting for us to get away from Facebook Live, well, now's your chance. Just go over to BehindTheIronThrone.tv, and if you subscribe to the channel, then you'll get a notification every time we go live. Also, we'll still be posting it into Facebook. So if you're still a Facebook person, you can get the link from our Facebook page, or actually it's easier if you're in the BTID group, because for some reason Facebook just doesn't want to give you that notification if you're in pages unless I pay a lot of money to advertise to you, and we just don't have that in the budget here in the studio for that. So you really need to be a part of our community, which is a great place to be anyway. So many cool things in the BTID community, and there's a link right on the Facebook page. So
cool things.
I'm glad to be here. We're going to be talking about the promo, the teaser, season 8 teaser promo here in just a minute. What's today's date? November 18th, so it's almost time for Thanksgiving and turkey.
Oh my gosh, can you believe it?
I've been exercising a lot so that I can eat all the turkey. I'm going to eat every fucking turkey in here.
And look how buff your arms are now, Arnold.
Right? Come on, welcome to the podcast. Come on, we're going to be talking about season 8 teaser promo. Come on.
God.
Everyone's like, God, where's John at right now?
Oh man. Hey, I've been in BTIT mode all week ever since that last trailer. That trailer just came out, because the way to open it up when you play the Game of Thrones, and all I can hear is a big old cougar in the background.
Yep, right? Isn't that awesome? Now,
all I can hear, yeah.
Now that intro was partially my idea, partially Trish's idea, and when they use it in this promo teaser, I was so excited. But real quick, I just want to say thank you to all of our fans out there that have continued to listen to this podcast for the last couple of years here. For all the new listeners and all the people that have been here since dreaded episode 1, thank you so very much. And of course, all of your comments, all of your feedback in the emails, in iTunes. And I know that some people think that we're a little long-winded in the beginning and we don't get to the point right away. But I think that's what makes the podcast awesome, because we're not just a radio show trying to just blow shit at you. We're trying to create a relationship. And if you feel like you're sitting around the couch or around the table having a beer, chatting with us, that is the goal. So if it takes a little while to get started, well, that's just how it is. We're not, we're just a community just trying to have fun.
If you find yourself talking back to us when we're, shooting the breeze, then we're doing our job. That's the bottom line.
Yeah. That's a great point. So let's talk about this awesome teaser promo. I mean, bam, it launches, and of course all the haters came out and complained about it. I'm actually on the official Game of Thrones YouTube channel here, and I was watching it. I watched it, and I'm watching it again right now. And like one of the very first comments that I see is someone saying, really not even a second of new footage. And it's like, well, first of all, or maybe this isn't that. Maybe this is someone else's channel. Whoops. It might not be the official YouTube channel. But the first comment, it's like, really? I mean, we haven't had Game of Thrones in a long time. So what I think they're doing is I think that they're giving us this teaser promo, and they're going to release little bits and pieces to get everyone warmed up, everyone excited again, maybe even get people to go back and watch season 1 through 7, which I started doing, and getting that energy back up. And I think you're going to see a real full-out trailer, or at least another smaller teaser. I mean, HBO is smart, and they have to kind of dribble it at you so you get excited, you get hungry again. If they drop a big-ass promo now and you got to wait till April for anything else, that's going to kind of suck.
I agree. I completely agree. And also, I'm a firm believer that there is nothing that HBO does that isn't done with a purpose. Especially where Game of Thrones is concerned, it's their basically bread and butter. You know what I mean? It's basically kept the lights on the last however many years that it's been going. So, I mean, everything that's done right now is being done with a purpose in mind. Now, if you go back to the very first, like coming in 2019, little sequence clips that we got of things that are, we can look forward to from HBO. Every single scene that we got in that clip about Game of Thrones was also previously on, except for that very one clip with Sansa and Jon hugging in the yard at Winterfell. Now, that was the only clip, the only footage that we have of season 8. Guaranteed, I looked all over the place for it. It is the only place where Jon and Sansa have hugged that is not Castle Black, that is not a previously on footage. However, so you got to go back and you look at that clip, and then you look at this brand new one, the For the Throne clip, right? And there's a theme. They're going back in time for a reason. And I've been telling everyone this. You have to go back in order to go forward. And George R. Martin is a huge fan of telling us over and over and over again that you can find all the answers that you need right in the very first episode, the very first book of either the season or the series. And with that being said, I can't tell you how many times I've been on the show the last 9.5 months, Chris, where I've told you guys I watched Game of Thrones again and I found something new, right?
Every single time. And real quick, I want to welcome James into the live chat. Yay!
Hey, James.
And we got some more viewers. If you guys want to shout out, just go ahead, pop into the chat. This is a very friendly community. Well, we both started rewatching the season. When did you start rewatching this the show?
I've been rewatching since the day the last season ended. I mean, over and over and over again. I'll finish it and I'll start it over again. I'll finish it and I'll start it over again. I think I've watched it a total of like 32 times since the season season 7 ended.
Holy cats.
I haven't started a brand new rewatch right now. I've just been going through and doing like a lot of like clip searching to find like specific clips, because it's ridiculously easy to find a specific clip that you're looking for by using keywords. And I feel like that's literally like the easiest thing in the world to do. And so I've kind of been going through that way. But the last time I watched the entire season all the way through was probably about a month ago.
We have Big E in the chat also. Yay! I like that name too. I think I'm going to change my name to Big C. It just sounds awesome. Like, I'm Big C. Come on. Come and get it. That's awesome. I just started watching it again. I've kind of been on a lapse lately. I mean, I've been working on. Some of you that listen to the podcast on a regular basis know that I have my hat in 100 different things, and I'm working on a Apple podcast. I'm working on a new website where I teach people how to podcast. I'm working on a whole bunch of different things, and I haven't been focused on Game of Thrones like I really should be. I've been all over the place. I'm doing private coaching and stuff on the side, and of course my day job. So now I started watching. Excuse me. I started watching Game of Thrones again. I got sick. I got really bad sick. I'm still kind of trying to get over it, and I started watching Game of Thrones again a few days ago. I got this to episode 4, season 1, and I got screwed up on time, and then the holidays are coming, so I got to get stuff ready. But I tell you, watching it, I forgot how much I really loved season 1. It was like, holy cats, season 1 was like I was so emotionally getting connected, especially to Ned Stark and the characters at a young age. And then as we see them progress through the years and we see them grow, it's just amazing where we've come from. So I'm just really excited.
Right. And then sometimes you forget, though, after, going forward 7 seasons and 9 years, you know what I mean? You kind of forget where you've come from. Even if you just watch season 1 and then are currently on season 3, you kind of forget some details. And then you go back and you're like, wait, how did I not see this the last time? For example, Jorah Mormont, when he says to Viserys, he was like, doesn't loyalty mean nothing to you? And Jorah says, loyalty means everything to me. And he goes, well, there you stand. And Jorah says, but here I stand. No, and here I stand. Who the fuck? Why didn't I realize he was using Mormont House words at that point?
Yeah. Now, Biggie says he will re-watch the series in March, dust off all the Blu-ray box sets. You know, I kind of regret not buying the Blu-rays, and I may have to because of all the extra stuff you get in those box sets. I know John, one of our co-hosts who couldn't make it on the show tonight, he absolutely loves his Blu-rays and all the extras he gets. So that's something to consider as well. James says, I find stuff in Audible too. Sometimes it's different hearing from someone else's voice versus the voice in your head when you read. Oh, yeah, that's true. I'm a huge supporter of Audible, and they're also not a sponsor of the podcast, but they're an affiliate. Link in the description. Can't say enough about Audible. And I wonder who's going to read Winds of Winter next. Wonder who's going to do that because of, what's his name, passing away. So that's a shame.
Oh, yeah, no, that's something sad we have to... Well, I guess we'll find out when we hear who reads Fire and Blood.
I'm super excited for that as well. Oh, boy, I got the pre-order. It's done. It's ready. I cannot wait. Yeah, Roy Detrice. That's right, James. You're right. You got the name right. For some reason, I couldn't remember his name. When Roy passed away, I was like, oh, crap. It's definitely going to be weird without Roy. I know a lot of us laughed and joked at some of the voices he did, especially when he was like a woman. But I don't know. After so many books, it's going to be hard to replace him, I think. But I'm sure they'll find someone that's very talented. So one cool thing, if you're listening to the podcast, try to join us live sometimes. We try to work in what you guys are saying into our conversation as much as possible. I know sometimes it derails the show, but like I said before, this is all about community. You know, we're just we're trying to give our fans a voice also, not just us talking at you. All right, Andrea, so we're looking at this promo trailer, and you actually wrote down a huge breakdown of this in our show notes. So if you want to start breaking this down, and I'll try to comment as we go through and try to keep it lively, it'll be awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. So on the second trailer that we have, it's kind of surrounding this major theme, right? Every battle, every betrayal, every alliance, every risk, every fight, every sacrifice, every oath, every death is all hashtag for the throne. So this is a huge deal right here, right? So now, obviously, we've talked about this before. Everything that's happening has happened for a reason. Bran being pushed from a tower, Ned losing his head in King's Landing. Everything is happening that's fucked up still has to happen regardless. Jon being betrayed, Ned losing his head, Bran being a cripple, Sansa freaking watching, all these horrors in King's Landing. Everything is happening for a reason. But then there's a bunch of little sequences in between all of these, little words, and then there's this like build up right at the very beginning. So I went through and I pulled out every single scene throughout the whole entire trailer. So the trailer starts off with Jon Snow standing on the moors of Winterfell while he's unsheathing Longclaw and facing off at Ramsay Bolton's mountain swords that are riding in at him, right? Then we switch to Daenerys standing at the balcony outside of Illyrio's manse in Pentos just before she was presented to Khal Drogo, before she even knew what her place was in the world. Then you switch to the Great Sept of Baelor just before Cersei's walk of shame. Her most epic line, when you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die. And with the very next scene showing ravens or crows flying above King's Landing with the Red Keep high on the hill. I've kind of figured out, and I could be wrong, that this is all turning points for each and every one of these three characters that shows when they've decided to work for the throne, if that makes sense. Cersei getting ready to be stripped down to her bare nakedness in front of every single person in King's Landing, you know what I mean, decides that rather than be humiliated like this again, she's going to take all the power for herself, right? That's when Cersei's turning point was. You know what I mean? Daenerys was getting ready to be sold to Khal Drogo and all of his Khalasar by her brother, because her brother basically just confirmed that he'd let his whole entire Khalasar fuck her and their horses if he could get the Seven Kingdoms back. Jon, still not really quite sure he wants to rule anybody, is standing on the moors of Winterfell getting ready to fight Ramsay Bolton, where just afterwards he's named king in the north. I mean, these are all really big turning points for these three monarchs.
Those are very excellent points you make, Andrea. And because when I first saw For the Throne, I thought, this doesn't make any sense. Jon never really wanted the throne, and Dany wasn't into the throne at this point. But Cersei, yeah, the power and all that. So the way you connected this is something I never thought about. So I totally agree with that, 100%.
It had to go something like that in my mind. I've been sitting on this all week and, coming back and forth to it. How am I going to break this down? Like, I don't know how to put all this together. And it just really started. Every single time we get a new trailer, it's literally telling us a story. So I have to go with those clues, right? So then the next thing is it's kind of a voiceover between Arya and Cersei. You hear Cersei goes, "You win," and she's finishing up that famous line, "You win or you die." And it shows Arya, and she's climbed up on this statue of Baelor, and she's watching her father getting ready to confess to committing treason, right? Super hard. And then it switches to "or you die," and then you see Ned just before he's getting ready to be beheaded. Now, HBO has also turned around, or Game of Thrones on YouTube has also turned around and decided to release mini clips. And this was one of the mini clips that they focused in on. And when they focused in on this mini clip, one of them was the Arya, Ned looking out into the crowd for, anybody or somebody. Arya, no, Sansa screaming, "Help him, somebody stop him," right? And then Arya slides underneath the legs of the statue of Baelor, out the other side, and then jumps into the crowd right before Yoren grabs onto her. So what was so important about this Arya sliding underneath the feet of the feet of this mountain? I feel like that's going to come into play later on. These moves that Arya makes trying to stop somebody. Is it possible that there's going to be another sort of trial in King's Landing where somebody that Arya loves is possibly going to be beheaded or something that Arya has to jump in? Is this going to be something that's going to happen moving forward in season 8 where Arya is going to be faced with the same situation? I think that's a possibility, possibly. Who knows? And then so in the background is the Light of the Seven, right? So as the tempo starts to pick up, we get flashes of the Tree of the Blood Raven and Children of the Forest, Daenerys in the House of the Undying when she told her dragons to burn the Pyat Pree, Jaime riding through smoke and fire to kill Daenerys and/or her dragon, Bran falling from the broken tower, Jon and Sansa embracing at Castle Black when they saw each other for the first time since leaving Winterfell, Tyrion being escorted into the throne room by the Goldcloaks where he is on trial for allegedly murdering King Joffrey, Joffrey smiling at his wedding to Marjorie. The picture then focuses on Cersei and Tywin in the backdrop. Olenna in the next row, watching as her granddaughter becomes the queen, replacing Cersei. Ned unsheathing ice in the throne room before Littlefinger held a knife to his throat, betraying him. Littlefinger, after Sansa convicted him of betraying her family, and Arya is delivering the gift of death. Jon outside of Mance Rayder's tent, just as he's realizing that they are being attacked by Stannis. Hodor holding the door with scratches down his cheeks. Bran being pulled on the sled in the snow, fleeing the tree. Jon holding Ygritte after she was shot by Ollie, with flames rising in the background. The mountain and the viper, particularly the way that Oberyn danced around the mountain, and even after being disarmed by him, which is interesting because we just talked about Arya sliding underneath the legs of Baelor, the statue, and this clip, Oberyn is doing the same thing to the mountain. Just saying. Let's see here. Jaime catching a dying Myrcella on the boat back to King's Landing. Wildfire igniting under the Great Sept of Baelor. Marjorie's worried look when she realized that Cersei is not there and she's not coming. The High Septon with worry on his face. Then the floor exploding from under his feet. Then Cersei standing in the window between her two pillars, watching the Great Sept explode with an image of her satisfaction kind of being panned out. So then the words start. Every battle. The first battle is Jon Snow fighting for Winterfell during the Battle of Bastards. The Dothraki entering the open combat with Jaime and his army in the Loot Train battle, with Daenerys flying overhead on Drogon. Jon rising out of the pile of men who had trapped him under their feet, trying to flee the battlefield, and Sansa arriving with the Knights of the Vale. It's really interesting that Sansa coming after Jon rising out of the pile of people who had trapped him that sequence is like that because it's like saying that Sansa was fighting her own battle in this situation, right? We know that Daenerys was out fighting, the Lannister army and the Tarly army on her own. Jon was, at Winterfell fighting, Ramsay and all them. But for the most part, Jon was fighting this battle by himself. He wasn't fighting it with Sansa's help. Sansa didn't offer any help whatsoever. So Sansa arriving with the Knights of the Vale at the very end in this clip shows that it's kind of like Sansa's own individual battle, right? Every betrayal. Jorah standing amongst the legions of the Unsullied, Catelyn slapping Roose Bolton when she realized he'd betrayed her son, Robb turning around just in time to realize what was happening, Jon encountering Theon on the beach at Dragonstone after seeing him for the first time since he had saved Sansa and betrayed Robb and the rest of his family, the Purple Wedding where Joffrey is beginning to choke on the poison, Jaime rushing to the into the crowd to save him. So every betrayal, right? So Jorah standing amongst the Legion of Unsullied, we obviously know that Jorah betrayed Daenerys, right? When he was sending information to Illyrio, who was sending the information to Varys, who was relaying that information to Robert, right? why are we pulling up this betrayal, right? Well, the betrayal obviously is for the throne. There's something that was going towards in the message, right? I think that we're going to see another betrayal coming forward, if that makes sense. We've been talking about this. It's starting to make sense that if Jorah's betrayal is coming up on Daenerys, that Daenerys is going to experience another betrayal. Kind of makes sense.
I hope not, though.
We're talking about Catelyn slapping Roose Bolton when she realized that he betrayed her son. Now, this was one of the mini clips that they had released.
How many mini clips are there in total?
There are a total of 11 that I have written down.
Because when you're watching this trailer, it's about 1:15 long. The whole promo video.
Mm-hmm.
And when you get past, I'm watching it again. Like the whole time, I'm trying to watch it multiple times. To just because it's so many awesome things. I feel like once you get past Cersei looking out and you see every battle, it starts to really speed up. Then it's every betrayal, a couple clips, and then you're back to every risk, every alliance, every fight. It goes bing, boom, boom, bing, boom, bing. And it's like, holy cats, there's a lot of stuff going on in this trailer. And I really believe that it's... Okay, so there's not anything new, but it gives us information. There's hints here.
Exactly. Something that we need to be paying closer attention to, right? So when it shows the Red Wedding, it shows Kat watching Robb and Talissa have a tender moment before watching the Frey soldier close the doors to the Great Hall. The Rains of Castamere starts up, and Kat looks up with dread all over her face. Grey Wind is howling outside about the betrayal. He knows, he can sense it. Arya arrives with the Hound at the gate just before it happens. And then you see, then you have the words. This is the actual lines that are spoken in this mini clip. Your Grace, I feel I've been remiss in my duties. I've given you meats and wine and music, but I haven't shown you the hospitality that you deserve. Kat sees the mail on Roose. My king has married, and I owe my new queen a wedding gift. Dany's in danger. This is what I think this is meaning. We're gonna have another wedding, right? We have the Red Wedding already, which is Edmure and his Frey woman, but Robb and them get dead. Then you have the Purple Wedding, Joffrey's dead. Then you have possibility of a White Wedding, which could be seen as Sansa and Ramsay's wedding, but I actually think the White Wedding is going to be the Snow Wedding, which is going to be the wedding of Daenerys and Jon. So if there's a case that a northern house betrayed their liege lord, like Roose Bolton did with Kat and them, right? We're looking at a northern house. We're looking at the idea that Jon and Dany could both be betrayed at their wedding or around their wedding. So that's the next thing that I saw. So that pulled up in my notes, and I thought, write this down. It's possible. And then you have the Purple Wedding with Joffrey beginning to choke on the poison. I'm not quite sure what this means as far as betrayals go, if this is something that we have to worry about when it comes to Cersei, or if it's something that's going to happen, dealing with the North, or if it's something that's both Lannister and Stark related, as if there's like some sort of pact, between the Lannisters and the Starks to get rid of the Targaryens or something. You know what I mean? We'll see. Every alliance. The battle at Hardhome, when Jon and the other men of the Night's Watch came to save the free folk from the others and their undead army. Jon's mounted horse is entering the battle after Ramsay sent his men straight at Jon. This specifically, I think, is tied into the alliance between the First Men and Jon and the Night's Watch. Not necessarily the Night's Watch specifically, but Jon and the First Men, or the Free Folk, which I think is really interesting. Why are we specifically focusing on every alliance? Why is the alliance between the First Men, the Free Folk, and Jon Snow so important? I'm interested in that. Every risk. Cersei kissing Jaime before she had her hair cut off, and Jon at Hardhome when he killed his first White Walker with a Valyrian steel dagger. I haven't worked those out yet. I do know that we have an image of Hardhome, but specifically Jon fleeing Hardhome on the boat when the Night King, comes up to the shore, and he's raising his arms up and he's raising the dead in one fell swoop. In my opinion, that was a risk going that way. Yeah. It was a risk for Cersei and Jaime to be, together, but they did it anyways, and it was for a reason, for whatever reason. He was able to save some of the free folk, not all of them. But he also got a chance to understand that the Night King has absolute power. It doesn't matter. He can just raise the dead. And I think that's something that we needed to know moving forward. Jon needed to know, how easy it was for him to raise the dead, knowing that um, that any person who dies at this point is a threat to them.
There is so much in here.
So much.
Whoever did the clipping, I mean, just from the technical standpoint, like when I'm editing video and stuff, the way that this was done very, very well. Like I think this is a really good promo. Now, if anyone watching live wants to take a second to check something out that's really cool, we now have the ability to add polls in the chat, or it's in the YouTube video. So if you're looking at your screen and you're watching YouTube live, I put a couple polls up there. One of the polls is, do you enjoy or do you prefer the YouTube live or the Facebook live? And there's a poll there. There's also one that says, did you enjoy the new 2018 Game of Thrones promo? Yes or hell no. So it's cool. We can do like these little voting things. And if you don't see it, there's a little circle that says I. You have to tap on that if you're using a mobile device, or if you're on your computer, just click on that I, and it will open up the poll so that you can take part in the poll. And we're going to do more and more of these as I learn how all this works, because this is pretty cool.
I don't get to see this.
You don't see it on your screen?
No, not at all, or even an eye.
Did you tap on your screen?
Well,
if you're on an iOS device or on a mobile device,
I'm on my MacBook.
Then I think you have to hover the mouse somewhere on the screen, and a circle and an eye should appear somewhere. Usually in the top right.
Oh, I see it. I see it now. It makes so much sense.
Is it up there now? The top right.
Yeah, you have to hover right on the actual video screen, not on the chat, just on the video.
Yeah, on the video screen with your cursor.
And there's like the information circle.
Yep.
And then you just when you're hovering that, you just click on it, and then it'll ask you.
Only one poll.
I only see the one. Do you prefer YouTube or Facebook Live?
Oh, that's weird.
I think you can only do one at a time.
Oh, okay. Well, shite.
Maybe. I don't know. This is all a learning process for us.
Yeah, this is totally new.
Shall we jump back into it?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay. Where was I? How in the world did I get all the way down here? Okay, so let's see here. Every fight, the battle on the Blackwater, and Jon fleeing from the Night King's army. Every sacrifice, Tommen walking out of his window after watching his wife and the Sept and everyone else in it be blown up by wildfire. And then every oath, the breach in the wall created by Viserion, the army of the dead marching through behind the Night King. We are the Watchers on the Wall, which is the oath. And then every death, Jon Snow killing whites after the Night King killed Viserion, trying to buy time for everyone to mount Drogon and escape. And then Drogon crying out for his brother as he falls. Is all Jon's voiceover. There's only one word that matters. Jon faces the Night King and the army of the dead advance on him, and he goes, and it is here. And then hashtag for the throne. So there's a couple of things that I'm still kind of puzzling through. The Battle of Blackwater and Jon fleeing from the Night King's army. I'm not quite sure what these two fights have to do with one another. Obviously, we know that they were important to the wildfire plot in King's Landing is super important, and that might link the Night King's army and the wildfire as being like a sure way to get them all taken care of. Who knows? Every sacrifice, I think this is pretty self-explanatory. Tommen walking out of his window after watching his wife and the Sept and everyone in it be blown up. I mean, everyone knows that Tommen basically did it because he felt like, what kind of a king is he if he just let his wife and everyone else be murdered by his mother? You know what I mean? So Cersei willingly sacrificed Tommen so that she could take the throne, and she basically confirmed that last season too.
Yeah, and she sacrificed some of herself as well in that whole thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And then this is the thing that really kind of haven't gotten to. Every oath, the breach in the wall that was created by Viserion, the army of the dead marching through behind the Night's King. Now that's another mini clip that they did. That one's Winter is here. And it's literally just Tormund and Beric standing on top of the wall at Eastwatch. Beric says it's a long way down. And then Tormund says, the crows keep telling me I'll get used to it. And then the whites walk out of the woods, out of the haunted forest. And Night King and Viserion show up, blow the wall to fucking bits. And then Tormund and Beric on the opposite side of the wall where the wall didn't fall while everyone else is perished in. And then the Night King and his army move south. I'm trying to figure out which oath that is that they're breaking, other than we are the Watchers on the Wall. I mean, I haven't worked that one out yet. And then every death, Jon Snow killing Whites after the Night King killed Viserion, trying to buy time for everyone to mount Drogon and escape, and Drogon crying out for his brother as he falls, was really interesting to me because what I noticed in this, watching it in slow-mo, is that as soon as Viserion was hit by that spear and he fell, Jon started going crazy, like berserker, like lost his shit and started murdering Whites left and right, right? At the same exact moment that Jon starts losing his shit, Drogon starts losing his shit too. Almost like their bond, like their emotions were almost linked. I'm not saying that they're bonded. I'm just saying that their reactions were almost completely linked. Daenerys was in complete shock. She was like, "What the fuck just happened here?" Rhaegal just rode away, like, I'm good." And and Jon and Drogon were down there on the ground, like, "Oh hell no!" They both lost their shit at the same time. So could it be Waking the Dragon? Maybe. Who knows? That might not have anything to do with anything that, we've seen this whole entire time. But I did find it really interesting that Jon and Drogon had the exact same reaction basically at the same exact time. So
You don't want to
threw
wake
that out
the
there.
dragon.
Exactly. And then,
James did say it's been said that her only redeeming quality, talking about Cersei, is she
Sure.
loves her kids. So no more kids, maybe?
well, I don't think that she's going to have any more kids specifically, like give live birth to any. I think that she is pregnant for sure. I just don't think that that's going anywhere. Um, Wait, what did we never catch? See, this is why live doesn't work for me because I'm like a ferret. When it's shiny things, you're like gold.
Well, I'm
Um,
the same way. I'm like, oh, squirrel.
yes, exactly.
It's exciting.
It is. It's very exciting. But so then I wanted to know, just for argument's sake,
Mhm.
where does this line up with the very first trailer? Right. Obviously, there has to be some sort of. Oh, thank you. He said that the link between Drogon and Jon, that he hadn't noticed before, just for everyone who's wondering. Um, so I wanted to go back and figure out like what that where it goes and how it connects to the very first trailer because everything it works together. It has to in order for us to be able to do what we do every single season. All of our trailers have to kind of work together, right? So the very first trailer was the 2019 HBO lineup. The first view of Dragonstone as Daenerys is sailing toward the island. Her first words being spoken in the stone drum, "Shall we begin?" while Tyrion is looking up at her. Walder Frey putting his hand down on the table just before Arya serves him Black Walder and Lothar, his sons. Beric Dondarrion igniting his sword in front of Tormund. The Unsullied falling to their deaths as they are pushed from the walls of Casterly Rock. Jon talking with Daenerys in the dragon pit. "So what happens now?" Daenerys turns to him. "Something extraordinary," she responds. Jon standing on the cliffs of Dragonstone watching as Daenerys comes back from fighting the Lannister army. Jon standing before Cersei and everyone else saying, "There is only one more that matters." Cersei responding, "And we'll face it together." Daenerys as she commands Drogon to burn the Tarleys. Lannister men holding the line as Daenerys flies overhead on Drogon, getting ready to burn them all. Drogon burning the loot train, Jon approaching Sansa, embracing her, looking behind his back with a look that can't really be gauged, clearly not the scene of them reuniting at Castle Black. Gendry killing the Gold Cloaks in King's Landing as they were readying to sail back to Dragonstone.